So, welcome to showcase of iteration 24. So here is a list of activities or tasks or the few overviews that we have covered in iteration 24. First of all, we did a spike for syncing the offline data, which is a VRMIS feature. So as part of VRMIS, till now we have developed certain forms, and as part of this iteration, we have this as spike, like how the user can upload the cache data into the server. Second thing, we have completed the order configuration feature where an admin can configure the order file for a particular country. And also we have completed the export feature where we will be exporting this order files to the desired FTP credentials or the ERP systems. Third is basically the shipment configuration completed. So once an order is sent to a ERP, the warehouse can update the shipment file by sending the file to OpenLMIS, and OpenLMIS process the file. As part of third feature, admin will have the option to configure the format of shipment file. The fourth feature, which is the processing of shipment file, this is almost done, but this feature is not fully tested, so this is still pending. The development is almost complete, and we'll be showcasing this processing of shipment file in one of our dev machines. Next, continuing in VRMS, we have completed EPI use screen and general operations, which were two different forms in the VRMS flow. Apart from that, in core OpenLMIS, we also started business analysis discussions on emergency equations, and we have started sorting of the tasks for the same. From the QA side, we have offline automation tested, and it's been done. And there was an issue or feedback sheet that was sent by JSI, and we have gone through it, and we have prioritized some of the bugs or the issues that were reported, and we are working on that. At last, we have almost completed the consistency test feature. Now we are left with only one validation report to be generated. So this is all about the iteration highlights. Regarding the points that were covered as part of this iteration, we have covered 19 points, which mostly included order and shipment import-export features. So we'll start with order export feature, and I'll hand it over to Ria.
Okay, so introducing myself, I'm Zia. So let's start with the order routing story. And a user which has managed distribution right. So we log in through field coordinator. So here we see that distribution, we go to manage.
Yeah, so first of all, are we showcasing it? Yeah. So basically, we are first showcasing the EPI use and observation stories, which are part of VRMS flow. So here we have developed two forms. Once a field coordinator goes to a facility, he can report data for those two forms and put in his cache. And while coming online, he can sync that data back to the server. So first of all, we'll be displaying those two forms. First one is the EPI use and second is the observation.
Okay, so we select a delivery zone, a particular program, and a period for it. So when we click on initiate distribution, a distribution is initiated and is cached into a local database. And when we click on this record data, we land up to a record facility data page where if we select a facility, so as you all can see, we have some multiple tabs over here. So we can record data for each of the tabs. So when I click on EPI use, the field coordinator can record data for EPI usage for that particular facility. So here we can see EPI stock doses, which are product groups, and they are listed in sorted manner. And for each product group, if there is no product which is active, it would not be listed in this table over here. So we can fill in the values for stock at first of the month, received quantity, and total is the summation of stock at first of the month and received. So we can fill in over here only numerical values, if we try to fill in some other character except the numerical values, like, so we get a error over here that please enter number only. So we can fill up to seven digits, and similarly, if suppose the field coordinator does not record any data for that facility, so he can simply click on this NR. While clicking on this NR, the input box would get disabled, so there would no data would be recorded. And suppose, so, and as you can see initially, the indicator over here was red, which indicates that the form was incomplete and it was not filled. And when I started filling it, so it became yellow. It is indicating that the form is partially filled. And if I suppose fill all the data, and expiration date is in format of month and year. If suppose I fill a invalid date format, then on tab out, it gives us invalid date format error. So let's fill a sample data here. Some of the not recorded checkboxes are clicked. And as you can see that I have filled in all the data over here, so the indicator turns to green over here, indicating that the form is completely filled, and then the whole of the data gets recorded. And suppose if a field coordinator goes to a facility and has not recorded any of the data, then he can simply click on this button, which indicates that apply NR to all fields. There is a dialog which says that this action will clear the values in all the fields of this form. Do you want to continue? If the user press OK, then all the fields get not recorded, and otherwise the data will be the data will not get cleared. Also, if I refresh the page, so the previous data gets retained over here in each of the text box and each of the NR record checkboxes. So now let's move on to another feature, which is which is recording the general observation. So here we can see another tab for observation. We can simply go there and fill in a particular observation. Here we have two signatures, and user can fill the verified by a title, name of the confirmed by, and title for the same. So again, on tab out, all the data gets recorded in our local cache, and on refresh and also this indicator turns to green, indicating that all of the data is completely filled in this form. If suppose I erase one of this data, so this indicator again turns to yellow, indicating that the form is partially filled.
So this is basically about two forms that we have developed in VRMS Flow. Now we'll move to order export feature and shipment import feature. So just to give the brief overview of this feature. So in last iteration, we have showcased how an admin can configure the order file. We had multiple options like configuring the order file prefix, whether to include a file or not, custom column headers and whether to include headers or not, add new fields, etc. So after configuration for configuring a screen, an order, once the order reaches to the stage of converting to order, requisition reaches the stage of converting to order. Once you click on that, there are multiple statuses of a particular order. Like if the export flag of that order is false, which means that order is not supposed to be routed to a particular ERP system, then its status will become ready to pack. So similarly, we have handled various cases, like if an order routing is failed, the status will become transfer failed, and there will be a unique comment which is mentioned by the routing has been failed. So Ria can showcase that.
So okay, let's go to configure order page. Going to configure link and EDI file. We get option to configure order file. Here we can configure this order prefix, and we can select whether to include the column headers or not in our order file. Suppose the column headers are included, we can configure the column header that will appear in the order file. Also, this include states that whether or not to include this complete field in our order file. We can select or deselect them. And these rows are sortable. So if suppose order number is at position number 3, so this field will appear at position number 3 in our order file. So these rows are interchangeable. I'm putting this order number field at position number 2, and this period date format we can select in which date format we want the order date and in which date format we want the period. Also, by clicking on this add new row button, we can add multiple rows and add data to it. Also from here we can delete if we don't want any particular column in our file. So I save this configuration.
Okay, so these add new row, basically these are fillers. So let's say a country particularly deals with more than 6 fields that we have listed above, and if they want to include some additional field, let's say cost and shipment date, so they can define a header here, can add multiple rows that will appear in our order file. Can you change the position?
So now our order file configuration is saved. Let's go to user that has permissions to convert to order. We go to convert to order link. Here we can see we have four requisitions ready to convert to order. But here we see that there are no records in facility FTP details, which indicates that there is no FTP information for each of the stocking depot. So first, prior to converting to order, we have to create some. We have to upload the FTP details for each of the supplying depot. So we go back to admin. We go to upload, select the facility FTP details.
So,
and select a file.
so this FTP credential upload is basically a one-time upload. So at the time of initial deployment, the admin has to set up FTP credentials for all the stocking depot or the warehouses. So it's basically the one-time upload, but we have provided the feasibility of having it on the UI.
So when I click on upload, the FTP details get uploaded into my system. Then we go back again to convert to order screen. Requisitions and convert to order. Four of the requisitions are listed over here. In one of them, the supplying depot is missing. That means there is no supplying facility for this particular order. And for the others, there is some for the other facility, which is the ERP system. So I select all of the requisitions and convert to order. It asks for confirmation. I click on OK. And when I go to view orders,
Yeah, so basically, as you can see, there are multiple status of orders here. If you look into the first row, so as Ria mentioned in the previous screen, the supplying depot was not mentioned for the first order. So the order status becomes transfer failed and a comment saying supply line missing. For the second row, where the order status is ready to pack, which means the export order flag of this particular order is false. This means there is no ERP configured for this order. So this order doesn't supposed to be routed to any particular location. That's why the status is ready to pack. If you look into the third line, the order status is released, which means the successful routing has been happened and this order has been placed to the configured FTP credentials that we have uploaded using one of our FTP uploads. And the last row basically which says transfer failed. So in the FTP upload that Ria has uploaded, we have not entered FTP credentials for one of the stocking depot. That's why this message is coming saying that FTP credentials are missing. So looking to this screen and the various comments, admin can take appropriate actions to successfully process a particular order.
So here also there are some other validations where if suppose the FTP server is down or FTP server is invalid, then the status of that particular order gets updated to transfer failed with the comment is unable to connect. Or if suppose the username or password credentials are not valid, so the comment is invalid credentials with the status as transfer failed. Or suppose the permissions on the FTP server are not valid, then it states that inappropriate permissions. Or if the FTP fails due to some other reason, then there is a blank comment with the status as transfer failed.
So this screen basically enables to know the final status of the order to the admin and can take appropriate action, either take the printout or like for the first line, supply line is missing. So we can correct this inconsistency in the data and can retry it. Retry option is not in current scope or we have planned it for the future applications.
And with this download CSV link, when we click on it, the CSV gets downloaded.
Yeah.
So as we can see, we had configured our order file template. So in that I placed order number at position number 2. So in our CSV file also it is appearing at position number 2 and all the column headers are being visible. So we can verify that our order which was released has been FTP successfully or not. So I go to this A directory. Here we can see that order 2.csv. So it has been successfully transferred to this system. And as we can remember that I mentioned I configured the file prefix as order. So the name of this file is starting with this order.
So this is basically all about the order export feature, where we
so based on the file that I uploaded, which had the FTP credential, it has used that location and that you can reach this location, and then it has copied the file. Right?
Yeah. So basically using the FTP location which has been mentioned in the FTP credentials upload, this particular order has been routed to that configured location. So this is all about order export feature, where we have managed to allowing admin to configure an order format, manage various error scenarios when an order is being routed to a particular stocking depot, and a successful routing of an order to a warehouse, and ability to admin to view the final status of orders. Now we'll proceed to shipment import. So once the order is received by a person sitting in a stocking depot, he can process the order and can prepare his shipment, and he can import that shipment file back to OpenLMIS. So I'll hand it over to Rahul to continue on shipment process.
You need to give me the screen control.
Okay.
Sure. Hello everyone, this is Rahul here. As you can see, demoing this stuff, the story on my local machine, the story is yet not reached our UAT environment. So we'll start with the basic shipment file configuration. So as an admin, just like we had configure option available for order file, there's another option for shipment file. Under this, you can specify what all columns you are expecting in the shipment file from ERP. Some of these columns, I hope it's visible now. So some of these columns, like the order number, product code, and quantity shipped, are mandatory columns. So regardless of which ERP is sending this particular shipment file, these columns need to be present there. As part of configuration, the admin can decide at what particular position he is expecting these fields or these particular properties. So there are some basic validations which are taken care of on this particular page. For instance, you can't configure anything without a particular position. So in case if you keep the position blank, it gives you an error that the position is blank. Please make sure it is connected. If I give him same or a duplicate position for two columns, then also it shows me an error that you can't have duplicate values in there. You can't keep it blank as well. So these are some of the basic validations that are there. If you notice on left hand side, there's an include checkbox thing. For some of these mandatory fields, the admin can't uncheck these fields, but there are some optional fields as well, like the cost, pack date, and ship date, which may or may not come as part of shipment file. So admin can any given point in time figure out and decide if he is getting these fields in the shipment file. He can very well improve that and also mention at what particular position is expecting these fields. He can also say that even though there are like just 3 fields in there, I'm getting this particular field, this product code at location 10, which means that for rest of the locations or rest of the positions, I'll expect some dummy values to be there, but I'll not process or I'll not do anything with those values. So if ERPs are hard-coded to not exclude those fields from there, then admin can decide and figure out what are the positions where I'm getting these fields, and rest of the values they can just simply ignore the value. For tag date, there are some default options available for a particular date format. You can choose any one of them. Similarly for the shift. For the sake of this particular demo, we'll keep it to the default values, which is just 3 fields in there and in position 1, 2, and 3. So this is all the admin thing. There's also an option to say include column headers. What this means is that if there's an ERP system which sends in the headers also as part of this different file, in that case, admin can check this thing. What this will mean is that we need to ignore the first line of the shipment file because it will have the headers. In case the ERP is not sending first data in the, in case the ERP is sending data in the first line, you need to exclude this particular checkbox so that the first line is also treated as a data. Okay, so that's all for the admin. Now let's look at the user who's actually has the visibility on the orders. So for the sake of the demonstration, we have already created some situation and moved them on the order status. So these are the orders which are right now present in my system. If you can see here, we have 3 orders. 2 of them are in release status and 1 is ready to pack. So release means that from OpenLMIS system, these order files have been shipped, or transferred to the FTP location for that particular ERP, and now we are waiting for the shipment file for them. For the second one, this order is moved out of OpenLMIS system because there was no supplying depot for this particular node. In that case, you will not receive any shipment file for this particular order. What you need to do is there will be a particular page from the admin or somebody who has and so for this particular order, you need to manually process this order and figure out what quantity is getting shipped in different products and this. That's really still in the analysis actually. Okay, so let's look at some of the files that are there to be loaded onto the FTP. So the way the shipment work is just like we had configuration for FTP location from where we need to put order file. There's also a piece of configuration where we are expecting ERPs to FTP the file. So whenever they are ready with the shipment, they'll place that file onto that FTP server on a particular designated location. So in my case, I have configured this FTP server, and the directory that is expecting the shipment file to be placed is remote dir. So if I look into remote dir, right now it's empty. Let me just place a dummy shipment file. So if you see, we have a file called invalid product file products. We'll look into it. So in this file, the order ID is 1 on the location first. Second location is for the product code. Third is for the quantity shipped. So the second product code is an invalid product. There's no such product in our system with this particular code. So this is a failure case. Processing of this shipment file should fail. So if I copy this file inside the remote directory, and then our server is actually listening for that particular directory, and we find any file, we'll start processing that file. If you could see now, the remote directory is now empty. We have processed that file from remote location. We found out that there was an error in there, so we have moved it into error folder, and it has been deleted from the original location, which is remote directory. And if you look at the order screen, this particular order now has a status shipment error. And similarly, if you look into the GD, here also you can see that there is an error for this particular order. So this was the first invalid scenario that we have done. There's also another file here which is wrong order ID. So if you look at this, it has two shipped line item in it, both for product code 10, which is a valid product code. The first one is for the order ID 1, and if you look at the status of this item, so you can the ERP can send in another file for this order. This time they have put in the correct product code, and they've also added another line item here with order ID 2. The order ID 2 here is already in a ready to pack status, which is so for this particular order we are not expecting any shipment file. But if it still comes in the shipment file, we'll report it as an error scenario. So let me now place this file into our remote directory. Okay. Yeah. As you can see again, this wrong error ID file has been also deleted from remote directory. Now it has been moved into error folder because there was a wrong order ID in it. We can look into the order status now. Yeah. There's still a shipment error on it. So that was the second error scenario. Let's try a valid CSV file this time. So we have a valid shipment file. If you can look here, the first line is for order ID 1, which was in a release status, and order ID 3. So both of these orders are qualified to be processed in the shipment file. The product code are also valid, and they have a valid quantity shipped. There are also some validation where in case you didn't get enough fields in your CSV file, then also it reports an error. So in case admin has configured the template to have, let's say, 5 columns in the CSV, it is receiving only 3 or let's say 4. In that case, we'll report it as an error. We'll flag all those order ID with the shipment error status so that the admin can act accordingly. There are also validation in terms of if the data type doesn't match correctly, which would be if there are any characters in order number, if the quantity shipped is not a number, or if it is blank or not. So those validation are also taken care of. I don't have the CSV for them, so I won't be able to demonstrate that. So let's process this valid file. I'll need to move this into remote directory so that it is picked up by the server. Okay. Yeah. So now if you can see, this time the valid shipment file has been moved into archive directory. That's the directory where once a file is successfully processed, we move the file to an archive directory, and remote directory is again empty. And now if you look at the order status, this particular file had line item for order number 1 and order number 3. So these two have been moved into packed state, and for the file, you can. There's also a table where we maintain all the shipment data. So for the first 2 files which were not correct, there's an entry with shipment error flag true. And the third one, which was a valid case, there's no error reported on that particular file. So that's pretty much from this story. The other validation will probably be able to demo the detailed validation in next showcase. It will take a couple of days to move these stories into using web.
So this is what about shipment import feature, where we basically have handled all the order status that we have showcased previously. So whatever the order status, if we are receiving a shipment file for that order, so we are managing it, and we are processing only those orders whose status are either released or they were in shipment error stage. For other orders which we haven't sent to the ERP system, or for which we don't expect any shipment file, we are throwing an error or we are rejecting that shipment file.
Yeah, so one of the error cases that we constantly had a order number 2 in it, which was not supposed to come in the shipment file.
Yeah.
So we have rejected that particular file and blocked it as well.
So for this particular order, basically, OpenLMIS haven't routed this order to the ERP system, but due to some data corruption or some any other error, if shipment file comes for this order, so we will not accept it, but we won't change the status of this order as the shipment error, because we don't expect the shipment file to come from ERP for this order, because this order is supposed to be manually filled. So this was about shipment import feature, and we are left with two stories which are related to consistency reports. So I'll just transfer my screen back. So just changing the presenter. Yeah. Yeah. So this is related to consistency reports that we have done as part of this iteration. So I have already uploaded the XML files for these two consistency reports. And as you already mentioned in our previous iterations, that we'll be providing a separate admin tool with a list of all these validation reports. But now I have already uploaded the XML files. So the first validation report is basically create write consistency check. This basically lists all the facilities which don't have any active verified user on it with create consistency write. The purpose of this feature is basically if a facility doesn't have any active verified user with create write, then there can be no requisitions initiated from this facility, and the facility cannot support the replenishment process. So this report can be used by admin to find any missing link or data inconsistency in the system. So if I view this report in HTML format, so here is a list of facilities. The first column is basically the orphan facilities which don't have any valid users assigned to it with create write. This particular report is basically only for create write. We have a separate report for authorize write also. The second column basically indicates the current status of the facility, whether it's active or inactive. And the third column is basically the program for which this facility is not having any active verified user with create write. Fourth one is the supervisory node to which the requisition group of which this facility belongs is mapped to, so that admin can either make this facility as a home facility of any user or can assign create rights to any of the supervisory nodes. The last column basically, if there is a user present on this facility with create write, and if that user is unverified, so we are displaying the user name here, and admin can directly contact the user and ask him to verify himself so that he can start creating requisitions. So this is the first report, and second is similarly for authorized check. So once a requisition is created or initiated, it goes to submission. Once the store in charge or a particular user with create write submits a requisition, it moves to the authorized stage. And here we are checking whether there is a user with authorized write or not. So similar to previous report, here we are displaying list of facilities with their status and program which is having missing authorized rights, and the requisition group supervisory node, and similarly the unverified user ID. So this is basically the sixth validation report that we have covered as part of our consistency check feature. Now we are left with only one small report which deals with finding out missing FTP credentials for a supplying depot, which we hope to cover as part of our next iteration. This is pretty much from our side. Any questions related to what we have showcased? So that's all for the showcase. If you have any questions or any feedback for us, asking to request you to send a mail over to Ron or contact Ron, and it could get filtered down to us, and we would take action on that. It was really good that we got some feedback from their side last time, and that came to us be prioritized and realized that we would expect similar feedback coming in going further as well. Thank you.
Looks great, guys. Thank you very much.